was listening to the Bobby Carpenter Show the other day. Bob actually had Carson Hinsman on a couple of days ago, had CJ Hicks on
I saw
yesterday.
the CJ Hicks one. I have not heard the Carson Hinsman one.
And then had Ryan Day on today.
Ooh.
So they were just doing all Buckeye Week. They were doing media days before media days on the YouTube stream. And, I figured, we talk about offensive line not a great amount when we get into the season unless it's poor. So I wanted to give some guys their shine. Let's do the Carson Hinsman little segment here. So this was from the Bobby Carpenter Show. And Carson went through a lot, Pat. I mean, you can chronicle it here at Ohio State. Kind of gets benched. Seth McLaughlin comes in and then plays a huge part last year in the college football playoff for this Ohio State team. And here was Carson Hinsman. Nate, we'll go 4-5-4-1-6 here, just on how everything went down and his decision to stay.
For me, obviously that was kind of a tough decision at the time, just because, obviously, like how you said, the era of people leaving and stuff right now is so prevalent. I really had to pray on it, honestly, and really try to reflect on what I want to do and really what I think would make me the best player and what I can do for this team. And talking with my parents and my family and stuff like that as well was really kind of what helped me stay as well, just because I love competition. Like I can't do anything without competition. And Seth coming in was looked at as competition for me, not only for me against him, but for competition for me against me, learning from him, becoming a better player. And at first, I obviously looked at Seth as a competitor. I look at him as a brother, like he's great. Just gotten engaged up, 45 minutes from me, which is pretty cool. And we still talk a lot about different stuff that he's learning right now in the Bengals, and just spending that time with him, I think, was super important. Not only competing with him, but just learning from him as well. Because obviously, being a Remington Award winner, that's pretty cool. So definitely set the standard of what I want to try to become an overtop for sure.
For all intents and purposes, Carson Hinsman had every reason to leave this program, Pat. Every reason in the world.
It was such a strange situation because, look, Carson Hinsman wasn't supposed to start in 2023.
Yeah.
You had Josh Myers, who left earlier than I think everyone expected after 1 year as a starter. So he was thrust into a somewhat difficult situation, but you're an athlete. You want to play, right? Hey, now's my opportunity. Let's go seize it.
We were just talking about it with Jeff a little bit earlier.
Exactly.
Igor Chinikov,
yes,
right?
So you jump in there. Was it the best season Ohio State's had at center? No. But then he goes and I was going to say, I'm honestly, if it wasn't Bobby, I don't know if he does a podcast, given that
I had the same thoughts while I was watching it.
Given the hot water that before the Cotton Bowl, he doesn't play in the Cotton Bowl, whether that was some sort of secret suspension or just the Buckeyes, they reshuffled that whole offensive line, really, for that game, and it did not work, by the way. But
no, it didn't.
Then
all thanks to Eli Drinkwitz in Missouri.
Yes, exactly. The man, the legend. But you go to the offseason, okay, let me get better, let me do this. Well, real quickly, actually, I think even before the bowl game, Seth McLaughlin commits to Ohio State out of the transfer portal. Yeah. So, going in, I've got competition. Now, he's talking about it there. He thrives on that, right? And I think you saw the best of that. Okay, you want me to go play guard against Penn State? Let's do it. I'm going to play in between a guy I know and Donnie and Seth here, who I've now gotten into a formal relationship with. Oh, wait, you need me to jump back to center? I'm going to have the best version of myself playing center. I think not only did competition bring the best out, but Seth also helped him become a much better center, and you saw it by the end of the season.
Here was his thoughts on when Seth McLaughlin went down, when he ruptured his Achilles in practice, just what transpired after Seth McLaughlin actually went down.
First play of scout period, we're running inside zone to the right, and me and we're going into a wide side, and me and Donnie had a B block on the backside, and I remember Seth looks at me, he's like, what the heck, Carson? I'm like, what? He's like, you kicked me in the back of the leg, because he thought I kicked him. I wasn't even near him, and I was like, I don't think I did. I wasn't near you. And all of a sudden, he obviously gets pretty distraught because I had no idea what happened. He walks away and he's limping pretty hard. I still have no idea what happened. Carsko at center, and I was fully ready to be playing guard for the rest of the season. So I got both my gloves taped on, and so I'm like, all right, cool. I'll go back, and I still had no idea what happened until after the practice of what really happened to him, because everyone was so what just happened. But Seth did a great job though. Even when he got injured, he still was in our meetings every day, helping me, giving me tips and stuff like that on what we're going to play, people that he's played before, and like what he would do and stuff like that. So him being there was a huge confidence booster to me, not only because I played the position before, but watching him do it, and then him also like having kind of a coaching position to help me in that regards as well was really, really cool. But definitely what helped me a lot too was the confidence I think the other guys on the line had for me to move back to that position as well. I know Josh instilled a lot of confidence in me, Josh Fryer, which helped me a lot, along with Donnie and Teg, and then Luke and Pig, who were sliding in and out, was really important for me just to know that I can trust them with their job, but they can trust me with getting them right.
It's kind of fitting because Austin and I were talking about who's going to be starting next to Caleb Downs this year, and we were talking about Malik Hartford. And similarly, Malik Hartford started as a true freshman. You look at his camp his freshman year, and he was all world. His name was being said over the PA. Came in with a lot of hype, and then Pat got hurt, had to do a lot of learning, and now he's expected to be in that role, compete for it at least next to Caleb Downs this year. I think there's a lot of similarities between these kind of stories on this Ohio State team this year.
100%. You have to overcome. Obviously, as a player, you hope things go as smoothly as possible in your career.
Yeah, you hope to be Jeremiah Smith,
right? Or you just Marvin Harrison. He came to Ohio State. He played a little bit as a freshman, 2 great years. Now he's off to the NFL as a top 5 pick. Doesn't always happen that way, and sometimes that adversity makes you better. And even the player that maybe you'd been on the trajectory to be, now you're that much higher up in terms of your development and just your work and things like that. You hear it from coaches all the time. It feels so much sweeter when you earn something, right, than when it's just not given to you. Nobody's given anything in that program. But, if you're Jeremiah Smith, not to say that he doesn't deserve or earn everything he gets.
Because he does.
He does, absolutely. But, the struggle that Carson had to go through of, okay, now I'm the starting center for this team. Now I'm not the starting center for this team. They bring in somebody else. Now I'm playing guard. Now I'm back at center. Just crazy. Also, him talking about the Achilles injury. Yeah. I've heard other people, Tyrese Halliburton.
Someone kicked me, right?
Yeah, and just, I couldn't. People talk about how they can't, put their foot down. Joe Burrow, that was who I recently heard talk about. You just couldn't feel anything underneath. Or no, excuse me. It was Kirk Cousins in that quarterback show, which they're both in. You just can't feel your foot going to the ground. I've done some other injuries, but that sounds as scary as it would be if something happened on the field. Yeah,
so to your point, so he got to spend the majority of the year learning behind Seth McLaughlin. Mm-hmm. And I thought this was a really good cut from Carson. Again, this is from the Bobby Carpenter Show on when Seth came in, how the learning curve was a bit steep, but he ultimately ended up learning from Seth.
At least for me, be a competitive guy, what helped me get to where I'm at and where I want to be. I would look anything Seth did, I wanted to do one more. You know what I mean? Even if if you were doing hamstring walks, something like that in the line, I'd do one more. If we were doing squats, I wanted to do one more. If we did plate pitch competition, I always wanted to do 1 second longer than him. Any single thing that he did, he probably, I don't even know if he realized it, but I would always try to be peeking out and trying to just do one more. At the time, I just thought, I'm trying to beat him, but at the end of the day, it made me such a better player and better person just from trying to compete with him, and then going into the season of us being roommates in the hotel and stuff like that, and actually get really close and learning from him his ideas of how he looks at a defense, how he attacks the game plan, how he's looking at this and be why don't you try this? And he's that's what I've always done, and why don't you try that? And I was that's actually a really good idea. Let me try that. Or the way he sits in his hips compared to other people, and what I've learned from people that have been here in the past. So it's just it's just a huge mindset shift for me, and having an older guy in the room, because I never really had that. And so having a guy who comes in and is weathered, is vet, he's a vet, has played a lot of ball, has faced a lot of adversity, but he's one of those guys where what I want to be, where you can just kind of set your watch to him all the time. Very consistent guy, very consistent player, and so that gave me confidence, honestly, going into the Penn State game, being able to play with 2 All-Americans, one on my right, one on my left, to go in there and just kind of play free and play just have fun. Because at the end of the day, I feel that's when I play my best, is when I'm having fun, and so those guys were a blast to be around, not only on the field but off as well.
Again, Carson Hinsman going through a lot of trials and tribulations here at Ohio State, kind of took umbrage with Seth McLaughlin coming in.
Sure.
They're fast friends now, and, I mean, that's a guy in Seth McLaughlin who's obviously been through very many ups and downs in his career as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and he talked about being in between two All-Americans. Like, maybe this all worked out the best situation for everybody, right? Like, Josh Simmons gets hurt. Well, he's a first-round pick. He's on the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan Jackson shows he can play tackle. I don't know if he'll need that in the NFL, but that's now in his wheelhouse, right?
Yep.
Carson Hinsman gets some experience at guard. His confidence gets built back up when he needs to step in there. Now he's going to be your starting
Coach,
center again.
I can do it.
Yeah, and if you need him at guard for some reason this year, you've got it there. And obviously with Seth McLaughlin, once he gets healthy, he's now in the NFL as well. So, and you win the national championship, which is the
Nice.
cherry on top.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
So yeah, I think it's cool how it all worked out. In the moment, it was a lot of like, what's going to happen here? You know, especially after Seth went down, you'd already reshuffled this line. It was a question coming in. You go into the college football playoff, you're rotating guards. I remember talking to Justin Fry, like,
What the heck is going
where
on
did you
here?
come up with this idea? And actually, he'd seen it done before, just not at that same level. And it was like, man,
Have fun.
yeah,
Good luck.
like that's a risky move to pull as you enter the playoff. But there's a reason they did it, and it worked.
You mentioned Justin Fry. He is now gone. How has the offseason coaching change for offensive line affected Carson Hinsman and the rest of this offensive line? You're going to hear that coming up in 2 minutes. It's the Buckeye Show on The Fan.